You want us to talk louder or quieter for you for the headphones?
Well, now your volume is down.
Because you turned the overall volume.
This controls the volume.
This controls all of your volumes.
Okay, but I'm not too loud, right?
No, you're good.
I have 3 little dots. Is that okay?
Yeah. It's fine.
Okay.
It's an interview about nothing.
It's about nothing and everything.
Hey, wait until you joke, but wait until you get into the dredges of this conversation. You know what this is?
What?
Well, it's a podcast, but it's season 2, episode 1.
You don't say.
Yeah. Season 1 went okay.
It was a
Give the
trial. It
bearings.
was a trial run.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to call it.
I have no complaints. B.
Yeah.
I'm going to give us a B. I had to get my bearings. I didn't know that I can't mumble on a podcast. You really have to enunciate and pronounce all of your words and syllables, or else I sound like a goof, which I sound like.
You know what? It's not so much about the enunciation as it is about keeping your volume at a certain level all the time.
Are you saying I'm too loud again?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Well, I wanted a mix of guests this season. So we'll have screenwriters, we'll have filmmakers, we'll have novelists, we'll have industry people. We'll have just us, maybe, if we have the right topic that we can argue about.
I don't know that we argue that much, though.
No, that's why we got to have the right topic.
Okay.
Elad Ziv is our guest today. It's a great name. One of the best. It's one of the best screenwriter names I've ever come across. Like a Marvel villain.
Screenwriter names. Have you got like a Marvel villain who's a screenwriter? Wow.
Right. Stupid man. What are we gonna do? Who is it that's causing this chaos? Elad Ziv.
The screenwriter.
He wouldn't be a villain in real life, though. He's a wonderful person. He is a Script Pipeline First Look Project winner from 2021, who we helped develop a script, got him set up with management last year. And he made the 2022 blacklist with that script, number 2 overall on the blacklist. Number 1 was actually another Script Pipeline screenwriting finalist. But I don't play favorites. But since he's a guest here, Elad's my favorite. Thank you for being here, Elad.
Welcome.
Thank you. Did I come in too early?
No.
So early.
Okay.
So early. You should have waited another 30 seconds.
I stepped on everything. Great.
It's good timing. When you win an Oscar, just run to the stage.
Right. Before they even announce the winners. I did it.
Oh, wow.
And then just steal it.
That is something that I would be, if I ever got nominated for an Oscar, I think I'd be so nervous. That is absolutely something. I can't even imagine how nervous I would be at something like that. I would probably do something like that, to be honest.
Yeah. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, it'd be funny. Other than a slap, right?
Oh, topical.
Wow, look at get right into it.
Well, I wanted to have you on for a couple of reasons. One, because I think your process from writing your first script, essentially, right?
What do you mean?
Court 17 was your first script?
That I ever wrote?
I mean, that you kind of got out there.
No.
Oh, see?
No.
I'm learning new things.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be so rude about it. It just, Court 17 was like,
go back.
Court 17 was like maybe we should have prepped this.
No, I don't know. Prep.
Was like, I've written over 10 screenplays, I think, before Courts. I've been writing for like 15 years. And so right. Court 17 was like my 10th. And I think Script Pipeline, the first look thing, I've entered hundreds and hundreds of script writing competitions. And you're the first one that I won. The farthest I've gotten was like semifinals, quarterfinals. I think I was a finalist in like maybe I don't want to say the names of them because I could be wrong, but I think I was a finalist in a couple of them. But yours was by far the first one that I won. And this process, this past year, I guess a little bit over than a year now since I won the last Script Pipeline, it's by far the first time that my script is like out there as far as like industry professionals and like that next level, next step in my career. This is my first go at it this year for sure. But writing wise, I've been writing for a long time. I just never wrote anything anyone was interested in. I see. I know so much about you and yet so little. I think that's where I got confused. It was. Yeah, that's why we're going to last a long time.
Yeah, you never want to know too much about a person. Just
it's weird.
Only the parts you like.
Yeah, I don't even want to know that much about myself, to be honest. That's where I did get a little waywardly confused. This was really the first script where you've had some success with, right? Where it
Yes,
kind of hit the
absolutely,
mark.
absolutely, yeah.
I don't want to get too much into the concept because I know it's under it's under shopping agreement now, right? You have a producer attached, and it's going out, so you don't have to get into the premise too much. But I do want you to touch upon how you kind of came up with the general idea and why you picked like this kind of subgenre. It's time loop story with a twist, right? Why you kind of picked that and why you were so motivated by the commentary that you threaded in, given your background in the sport and all that.
Well, Matt.
I'll let Michelle ask the next question.
Well, Matt and Michelle. Well, M squared. Let me tell you guys something. Ooh, M squared. You guys can use that if you want. No charge.
Yeah, we already did that.
I mean, whatever. I don't know. So the first script I ever wrote, which was about 15 years ago, was a tennis script. And that was kind of, I never went to film. I took acting classes when I was in college. I was an actor as well. I think technically I still kind of am an actor. I still have representation, so I am. But the first script I ever I taught myself how to write by writing this script, and it was a tennis script. And the reason I chose it was because tennis was a huge part of my life growing up. I played since a very young age. I played at a really high level in the juniors at the USTA, which is like the governing body of tennis in America. And so I played Division I tennis. And then, about my freshman, sophomore year of college, I kind of figured out that tennis wasn't going to be a career that was going to be easy for me. It was going to be really hard and I wasn't going to be very successful at it. And so I decided I had to decide on other things. Cut to a few years later, I met a woman who worked for Lawrence Bender at the time. She was a development exec for him, and I was an actor. And she said, "You should write stuff for yourself." Because I was telling her, how frustrating the first few years of acting was for me. That I was just kind of waiting around for people to give me the green light to do work, even like little things. And she was like, "Well, you should. What have you ever thought about writing?" And I kind of loved the idea that I could generate creativity in a very easy way. I could just on my laptop write every day, and I didn't need permission to do that, which was a lot simpler than acting was as far as, being creative every day. So I wrote this script. It was a tennis movie that was a kind of like a love story that touched upon the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It was an Israeli tennis player falling in love with a Palestinian girl when he has to go back to Israel. And I figured, and so I taught myself doing that. And obviously it's a much lower concept, very niche kind of idea. And I tried to get it made with different producers in Israel, but the whole Israeli-Palestinian angle has just been so overly exhausted within Israeli production that no one wanted a kid who'd been living in America for 30 years to give his insight on it, whereas so many Israelis and Palestinians have made their own, films regarding it. So anyway, cut to the beginning of the pandemic. I had written a lot of different scripts. I had become a better writer than I was 15 years ago. And originally I had an idea to make a loop movie because I just wanted to make a loop movie because I felt like the pandemic was a loop, kind of like every day was kind of the same. We weren't able to go outside. We weren't able to do anything. And so I wanted to write a loop movie, which was kind of meta about a writer who couldn't figure out what to write. And every day is kind of like a loop for it. And then I just figured out through, coming up with log lines and everything that it was just like a very boring idea that no one was going to want to read this thing. And I just remembered, the tennis script and everything. And it was kind of, with concepts, I feel like this is just my personal opinion. I feel like concepts are so important when it comes to writing scripts. And yet they're almost more difficult than execution because they kind of have to come to you in a way that you can't force. You can't just sit. If I sit down for 50 hours a week, it doesn't mean I'm going to come up with a great concept. Some of it has to come to you. And this kind of came to me where I combined the tennis with the loop. And the more I thought about it, the more I was just kind of, in love with how organic the two genres melded into each other, because in all sports, and especially with tennis, you're doing the same thing every practice. You're hitting the same forehands, the same backhands, the same volleys, the serves, everything you're doing over and over and over again, so that when you get onto the court and match play, it becomes second nature. It becomes part of your DNA. You don't have to think about it anymore. And this movie became such an interesting look at that because she was in a match, but the match was almost a practice because she got to do it every day. And so I thought that was such an interesting thing. And I was shocked that that's, I think, the best concept is when it works and then you're shocked that no one else had done it before you. You know, I was shocked that I had seen a movie that, or I read a lot of screenplays. I'd never read a screenplay that touched upon that either. So that started me off on the whole process. And then, you know, obviously there's a huge mental health aspect into this movie. And it talks about the mental health of athletes, specifically tennis players, specifically female tennis players. And that also kind of came up accidentally when, you know, during the first like few drafts, maybe like the 7th or 8th draft of the script, Naomi Osaka had withdrawn from, I think she withdrew from the French Open for mental health reasons. And then for me, that was crazy because when I played tennis, especially in college, unless my coach could see a physical ailment on my body, I was playing no matter what. There was no such thing as feeling anxiety. I can't do this right now. Like there was no such thing as mental health. So she was such a trailblazer in introducing this very real kind of notion. And I thought that worked so perfectly for this protagonist because the protagonist is about my age. You know, she grew up in the same era that I grew up in with sports. And so she's kind of being introduced to this, like, you know, having these on-site clinicians at the Grand Slams and the Master Series tournaments is not something that happened 15, 20 years ago. You know, this like more nurturing look at athletes. Obviously, athletes could be nurtured a lot more than they should be, but compared to what it was 15, 20 years ago, I think it's a huge step forward that people are making.
Well, and that was what, for me, drew me in right away. Is like, well, what films have touched upon mental health amongst athletes? And I couldn't really think of one. And then I took a step back and thought, well, are people really going to want to read a tennis script? Or is it too niche? Is it too this or too that? But it's not too niche because the theme is broad enough to where you can apply this same concept to someone who's a musician, someone who's a writer, someone who's working as a lawyer, right? There's a universality to it that I thought might land really well amongst people who read it. And Michelle is an expert pianist, and it's the same thing. You're caught in a time loop, right? When you're practicing.
Absolutely. Yeah, that whole idea of I'm going to stop doing something because of mental health or because I'm doing this for me or I'm trying to take care of myself. That is very foreign, extremely foreign, especially coming from my background. I'm Asian in some capacity. And so there's just no, unless you're physically ailing, it's just like, it's not happening.
100%.
Right? And so with music too, like I burned out and I didn't know I burned out as a classical pianist, as a jazz pianist, and I didn't realize it because I had no desire. I lost desire at some point to keep playing, to keep doing it. And I just thought, oh, I'm just getting worse. Not that, oh, there's a mental aspect here. There's a mental block.
Right.
And so that is interesting, that you are touching on that or making that a key concept in your script. So yeah. Is that in any way reflective of, you were talking about how you've been writing for 15 years. So is this sort of mental aspect in any way reflective of maybe your personal burnout during writing or during acting over the 15 plus years?
Wow. Damn. I never thought of that, but probably, to be honest with you, no. Okay, honest. No, but that's a very, very good point. I will say that obviously this character isn't me and she has gone through a completely different life than I have. However, there is like a lot of commonalities that I subtly kind of interwove into her, which was, she's an immigrant, I'm an immigrant. Her parents are immigrants, my parents are immigrants. We come from, I'm sure the Asian cultures and we're Israelis and the Middle Eastern cultures are very similar in the way of like, my parents were like hammering about like education is the most important thing. And like, even to this day, if a coach told me, oh, if you're not feeling mentally well, you don't have to do it, there would be a guilt within me of like, no, I do have to do it. What does that mean? Am I just being a big baby? And I'm like, I just need to like step up and do this. And that all is ingrained within what we grow up with and what we're taught, and that mentality of coming from a country with no money into this country and dealing with certain adversities. And that's what you instill in your children to protect them. And I thought that was an interesting way for this character to also navigate this time loop thing of, you know, she doesn't do the normal time loopy thing of like just enjoying herself and like messing around and doing all that kind of stuff. She's just like, I need to get out of this loop, because her mentality is not like, let me love myself and let me really look inwards and figure out what's best for me. Hers is like, I need to work through this. Work is the way through this. And I think work ethics are great, but I do think they're a detriment at some point when you like put the work before yourself. And I think I see that in myself as well.
And there's no, I mean, we glean so much off of movies and television shows. And I don't think, I'm sure people have discussed this at length in essays and stuff before, but I don't think we realize sometimes what a profound effect media has on us and what we think of ourselves and others and how we understand certain concepts. Because I can't think of a film that really delves into some of the topics that you're delving into here to this extent, right? And in this manner. Sometimes you have to kind of Trojan horse an idea or a concept in this sort of under the veneer of like something that's just purely entertaining. Yep. So that's something I try and explain to a lot of screenwriters and authors and so forth, is that your story it has to have an underlying thing, like it has to be about something, and not only does it have to be about something, but it has to be about something that we haven't heard 100 times already. So
yeah, and that's why you have to look at things like mental health is a relatively new discovery in our society, and it still is new, right? Like we still don't have the same respect for mental health that we do for physical health. So that is something that I can touch upon because I know it hasn't been done hundreds of times before, because society hasn't been on it for the past, 30, 40 years. It's a relatively new thing that, like the Kevin Love piece that he did for the Players Tribune, like all these things they're relatively new things in the zeitgeist. And so I think for writers, it's important for us to look at what is happening today that wasn't happening. However, what is a universal thing that people can understand, and how can we integrate this into stories that are digestible to like wider audiences and all that kind of stuff, which I think is kind of what you said, Matt.
I'm eager to see its progress. How has that process been, by the way, thus far as like, working with John at Bellevue, and what were kind of your initial like thoughts and feelings? Because I know you hadn't been repped at all before that, right? As far as lit manager?
Right. John's my first lit rep. Again, I've been acting for a while, so I've gone through that whole thing, which does help when you're understanding reps and, going for the rep, not going for the company name, even though obviously Bellevue is a big company when it comes to like tastemakers and stuff like that. But I think when I first started acting, I got really caught up on like the CAA, the William Morris, the Brillstein, the big names, right? But then you get lost in the shuffle sometimes. So I think that acting helped me a little bit into this, even though it's my first foray into representation. But working with John has been unbelievable. I mean, John was, and I don't even think I've told him this, but John was like the number one manager that I wanted to sign with for a while. I had a roommate for 5 years, about 10 years ago, my first roommate when I moved here, and he knew John and John's wife. And so I was kind of like following John and how many scripts he would get on the blacklist and the kind of scripts that he got on the blacklist, which I loved. And I just felt like he was such a tastemaker, and he's so selective with the clients that he brings on and chooses. And honestly, when we decided to work together, it was like such an amazing time for me, because I really felt like I was in such good hands, and he's really lived up to that. He's really kind of, he's really showed me that he is who I thought he was, before I started working with him. And that story is, I think, interesting for upcoming screenwriters as well, is that, before I found out that I won Script Pipeline, I had looked at the blacklist script of last year, and I looked at all the scripts that were kind of similar to Court 17. I wrote this other kind of like Fauda-like action TV show. So I looked at all the scripts that were similar to those scripts, because John had Cauliflower on there. And I thought Cauliflower and Court 17 were kind of another script pipeline winner, was kind of similar. Daniel Jackson. That's right. Script pipeline winner Cauliflower. Script pipeline winner Cauliflower. And so
I had a good run on blacklist scripts.
You guys blended that in.
Sorry, go ahead.
Pipeline, yeah. And so then it was like the happy accident of like, after you told me you won, you're like, hey, so, we like to like work, we like to like develop with you. And then when we think you're ready, we'll like send you out to John Zalzerny at Bellevue. And I was like, and I don't know if you remember this conversation we had. I was like, I just emailed him or whatever, you know? So it was such a perfect symbiosis of things, but it's also, I think, important. I'm saying this because I think it's important for screenwriters who are looking for reps and stuff. Some people told me, don't do that, don't blind email, don't do this. It's like, just do it. You know what I mean? It's like, what else are you doing? If you're just like sitting around, it's like, it doesn't matter. There's no such thing. I'm shameless with stuff. You know what I mean? Like I've tried so many script competitions that didn't work out. I've emailed so many reps on the acting side and writing side that didn't work out. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like rejection has to be a part of your
DNA.
I don't know, ethos.
Yeah.
Like, don't be so precious with not getting rejected. Just get rejected a lot because like for me now, I'm 38. I'll be 39 in a couple months. And it took me 15 years of writing to do this, but I'm so happy that through all the rejection, through all the no's that I've gone for all the screenplays, that I'm in this situation now with John and with Court 17, because I wouldn't have gotten there without all the rejection. So I think people out here are very like weird about like, also the whole, Matt, you tweeted something about, someone said you need like 1 to 3 great samples. And then I replied to the tweet saying, actually just write a bunch of shit what you love. And then eventually that one sample, like you said, you need one good sample. So I wrote, 10 screenplays that very little people cared about, that were really about my experience or my family's experience. And those made me a better writer because I found out I grew through those. Yeah, they took a lot of time. Yeah, I had to be a bartender and waiter for many, many years in order to live out here to do that. But it's so worth it, honestly. Like, don't get so precious about finding that right content. If you haven't found it, just keep writing. Just always keep writing, Do
you think that, I don't know my phrases, do you think that being an actor helped you not be precious about feedback and
oh my God. Well, first I started off, when I was 18, I started modeling in New York. And then I got into acting.
Same. Go ahead.
Yeah, we were in the same agent, same booker.
For the new listeners, that's a lie.
We lived in the same models apartment, actually. Wow. We were bunkmates.
Right.
But the modeling is the best way to start learning rejection, because literally all they're doing is rejecting you for the way you look for something. You're not even bringing anything else to the table. Right. You're literally coming in, they're looking at you and they're telling you no. And the modeling game is the same as the acting game, which is 99% of the go-sees or the appointments that you go on, you're not booking, and the guys who are booking over and over again. And there's like, we don't have to get into this, but there's the whole dark, seedy underbelly to the modeling world because there's so little attention that comes to it that Hollywood could not get away with, because Hollywood is so much bigger and so much more in the public zeitgeist. But, the modeling stuff and then the acting stuff, it just helped me deal with that rejection so well, honestly. Like I'm so good at, even like getting put on hold for things and then you get released from the job and all that. Like that stuff weighs on you hard when you're younger. And it helped me a lot with this of just being like, working with like getting notes, notes that you don't like. A lot of writers are so precious with the notes that they get. And they're like, well, no, you don't. It's like, you're not doing this for yourself. You're trying to make a movie for millions of people in theory. Right. So you have to listen to people, but you can't do that if you can't get past your own unwillingness to recognize that like there's no right or wrong. People just have opinions and you should take as many opinions as possible if it makes the story better,
I asked this too because you were so great to that. I mean, we did help develop the script for at least a couple of months, right? I mean, it was for several weeks of kind of tweaking things, going back and forth.
Yeah, at least 2 months, I would say. Yeah, it feels like longer, but I guess it was 2 months.
Yeah, it was just a couple of months. But yeah, you were very open and you weren't like, all right, I'll take every single note and implement every note, because that's not how it works. And you understood that. Michelle, I know, is someone who's written books, who's written scripts, who's gotten loads and loads of feedback, I'm sure. You can't take every note. You can't implement everything. You have to kind of push back on things that you are kind of knee deep in, or that you want to dig your feet into, and then you just kind of work around that, right? And so that way, the final product, you're happy with it. The person that's helping you develop it thinks it's better, and you're giving yourself the best shot.
Yeah, if I can say something else to that, I think that, because I know you've mentioned that to me a couple of times, that you were happy with our working relationship and how I took the notes and all that kind of stuff. I think a huge part of that, again, is my age. I think I was 37 or 8, 37 when I won the competition. Maybe if I was a 23-year-old fresh out of film school and I had won a competition, maybe I would take it for granted a little and be like, what the fuck does this guy know? I just won a competition. I'm going to destroy Hollywood. Whereas I'm like, wow, this is an amazing opportunity for me. Let me make the most out of it. And making the most out of it means making you knowing that you're heard and that we're collaborating on this, not me just telling you what this script is and that you don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Because I think that's just such an important thing that a lot of, again, it's difficult being a creative. I'm not judging writers who have a hard time taking notes. It's a difficult thing because you've poured so much of everything into it. And to someone to tell you that should be changed somehow, it can easily be construed as you're not valid for all the hard work you've put in. So I get that. I get the challenge of that, but you have to reframe it. You have to reframe it as like, this person is trying to help you, or you paid for this, review on the Blacklist or whatever. I also did, I think, yeah, that was before you. I think I put it up on the Blacklist like 3 or 4 times to get notes from it. You know what I mean? And to get those and to get those notes, and those notes are brutal. And those notes are, some of the readers there are like pretty like, wow, this is really bad how you did this. And it's just like, wow, okay. I think that's so helpful. Again, you know what I mean? Because like, hopefully, if I ever like get to the point where I'm doing writing assignments or whatever, it's like, you're going to be working for someone and you have to execute their vision for something. It's not about your ego and you being right all the time. And I think that's just an important lesson that is very difficult for creatives,
I would say to that, it's extremely important that you have vision. And if you don't have vision, then it can feel like, when you're getting feedback, that it's more of an attack than anything. Because if you're not solid in what you're trying to accomplish and you're not focused and you don't see where this is going, then it's super easy to get like bummed out when someone's like, oh, I didn't like it, it's bad, or this isn't working, your whole act 2 like sucks,
Well, those are bad notes
right
too anyway.
Well,
like saying something
of course you know what I'm saying, but it's just like you have to kind of almost look at it like you're the project leader. The people that you get feedback from and whatever, they're all part of your team. And you need to kind of trust that they're not necessarily out to get you, right? Because people in your team are supposed to be on your team and on your side and trying to like help you make the best project, deliver the best whatever product. I lead a lot of people and I'm in a team setting, and it wasn't until I got into this job that I was like, you know what? There's a lot of similarities actually in leading a team and then also just being a screenwriter, because I get feedback all the time on the stuff that I'm doing from people who are underneath me in my team, but I value their feedback and I take it. And I was like, all right, but not all of it, granted, but most of it, because I realized that the reason they're on my team, the reason I'm even soliciting feedback from them is because they have something valuable to provide, to something valuable to put in.
Yeah.
And so, that's why you put your script up on the Blacklist and you want feedback, because you're hoping and you're expecting and trusting that these readers have some experience that they're bringing to the table. Right. They have some insight that you just don't have. And because we're, especially when you have vision, it also means that you can have tunnel vision and you can be a little too close to something. And so it is really important to have someone else give you that 10-foot, 20-foot, 30-foot, 100-foot view. And then you're like, wow, I did not see that. And I'm like, right now, I'm producing this gigantic conference, and it is my vision. I'm fearless about getting feedback. I'm like, yes, please tell me everything. I mean, I'm getting some really high level feedback from some really high level people. And I'm impressed actually at myself for not taking it the wrong way and being eager to incorporate it into what I'm doing, because my vision is strengthening as I'm doing this. So if you surround yourself with good people who have your back, when they give you feedback, it does help you to strengthen your goals and strengthen the direction of whatever it is you're doing.
What's the conference?
It's on global media in diplomacy and foreign policy.
Where's Matt's invitation to speak?
Oh,
conference. I don't have gas money. That sounds like a very serious conference. I would be like,
it's going to be fun. Actually,
I'm into it.
You know what? We're having the woman who took Sesame Street to Russia.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What did they do with Bert and Ernie in Russia?
No idea.
They're not gay.
I will find out.
That's a homophobic rumor.
No. She wrote this book. It came out just last year called Muppets in Moscow. And it was pretty.
Yeah, sounds like a great
yeah,
movie.
exactly, right. But she's actually a documentary. She's a filmmaker and everything, and so
Daniel Craig and Keanu Reeves.
Michelle, whatever you're saying right now is falling on deaf ears.
Hold on, I gotta call John. Hold on a second.
Elad and I are already writing this in our head. It takes place in like post-war Russia, and the Muppets help take down Putin.
Wow.
No, actually, Putin took down the Muppets.
Is that what happened?
That is what happened. That is what happened.
Is it because it was an American product, or it was because
it was a tightening that started happening? Yeah.
I'm very fascinated. My grandfather was born in Moscow. I'm very interested in.
No
Russian.
way.
Yeah.
Did he speak Russian to you?
He did. So he had a tough life. My grandfather's family, when he was like 5 or 6, escaped Russia because of the persecution and pogroms against the Jews there during the early 1900s.
Oh, wow.
So he left. Okay. I think he was born in 1917, and that means he left in like the mid 20s. And with his luck, they moved to Poland in the 20s, and he got
that's a great idea.
And he was in the Holocaust and everything. So yeah. But I'm very, very fascinated by Russia's fascinating to me, honestly.
It is fascinating.
Yeah.
I think, this is a very hot take potentially, or cold take, whatever. US and Russia are just like mirror images, basically.
Right.
I mean, that's the problem. It's the cracked mirror, sure, but it's their mirror images.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. That's why we can't get along, because we're like shoulder to shoulder, even geographically speaking, we're shoulder to shoulder. And we're just like, even like if you look at our landscape, like DC is on one side, Moscow is on one side, and it's the opposite side.
Wow. That's interesting.
Like the Spider-Man gif where they're both pointing at each other. Wow.
Literally mirror images.
Yeah, it is. That's what I'm saying. It's pretty bizarre, actually. Wow. So, yeah.
I'll abandon the Muppets take down Putin.
Put a pin in Muppets in Moscow.
Okay, but I want to know more about your background, Elad. So
my background?
When did you come? Yeah, when did you come to the U.S.?
So I was born in Haifa, which is like northwest Israel on the port.
Yeah, I know my geography.
Oh, great. So then we lived in Jerusalem for about 6 years, and then when I was 7, we moved to Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
Boy. All right.
Jerusalem from Jerusalem.
My bills. From
Jerusalem. Yeah, me and Matt
Buffalo
are bound.
Bill.
We're
bound by Bill.
Bound by Bill's Mafia, for sure.
Bounded, yeah.
You're bounded by Mafia?
By Bill's Mafia. Matt? Bill's Mafia.
Oh.
Yeah. Hashtag Bill's Mafia.
I see.
Okay. So I've been in America since I was 6. When I was in my senior year of high school, I moved down to Florida to go to a training facility for tennis players outside of Tampa, which is kind of like a place where young guys and girls go to get, become pro or go to college for tennis. Then I went to school in Philadelphia, and then I went to Miami, New York, and then here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Miami, New York, and then here. And how long did you play tennis, like Division I?
I played tennis for 3 years. I graduated early, so I played for 3 years, and then I got out of there.
Okay. And what college did you?
It was Temple University.
Temple. Oh, is that up in Illinois?
It's in Philly.
No. Philly.
Yeah, it's in North Philly. Cecil B.
I know my geography, except when it comes to the U.S.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Austin, Massachusetts. That's a road trip. That's a road trip reference. Remember that movie with Tom Green, Road Trip?
We're not that old.
I do, actually.
We are that old, both of us.
Me and you are the same age, Matt, aren't we?
No, I'm older.
No, Matt is the oldest boy here.
Oh,
yeah. So wait, true. You picked the University of Texas at Austin.
Yes.
Why?
Well,
so explain that.
You guys have a great tennis program. You guys have a really great tennis program. And I did a road trip with my fiance during the pandemic where we went to Buffalo for my dad's birthday. Then we drove down to Naples to see her family. And then we drove back to LA. And through that drive, we stayed in Austin for a night. And we stayed and had Terry Black's barbecue, which was absolutely delicious.
Yes.
I loved it. And I always loved University of Texas. You know what I mean? And the Hook 'em Horns thing is like, I mean, I guess you have like NC State has the Wolf Pack, but not many colleges have that good hand signal thing going on. So
yeah, the branding,
exactly. But honestly, University of Texas, it's like University of Texas, USC. Sometimes University of Florida. Those are like the top tennis programs in the country. University of Georgia is another one. And just University of Texas felt like, I don't know, something about an Israeli immigrant coming to Florida when she's really young, going through those tennis academies and then playing at University of Texas for a year. Just felt like, you know, I don't know if you guys know, but like John McEnroe did the same thing at Stanford. He went to Stanford for a year, then he turned pro. I just like that.
Very cool.
It's more of a basketball thing to go for 1 year in college and turn pro. Most tennis players don't go to college at all if they're phenoms. But I like the whole like, you know, immigrant father telling her to go to college to get an education. She only goes for a year, and then she leaves, you know.
Yeah.
My standard writer question is, what's kind of the ultimate goal for you? Is it to like win awards? Is it to create a screenwriting career? Do you want to write other stuff?
You just want like a shitload of money. You know what I mean?
Lots of money. I understand.
Here's my goal is I would love to go full circle and accomplish what I set out to do when I started screenwriting, when I was making movies no one wanted to read. Definitely direct. I see directing in my future down the line. I'd love to direct stuff that I write. And then, you know, to make really important, impactful stories and to kind of, my favorite movies, I think, growing up were movies where there was some sort of like educational aspect to the entertainment of it. I would be entertained by it, but I would learn something about something. You know what I mean? And so I think that was kind of my goal with my very first screenplay, was to educate an American audience on the nuances of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict from the human level, not from the government level. You know what I mean? Because no American that I grew up knowing actually knows the way Israelis feel about Palestinians and vice versa, the people, not the governments. You know what I mean? And so that was my goal there. And then I wrote kind of, a TV show, a pilot about my grandparents' life in Poland in the 30s leading up to the Holocaust. I think there is an interesting angle to Holocaust education and how it mirrors where we're at today and kind of like the cyclical nature of human behavior towards one another. So there's just like, I would love to be able to be in a position where I can write and direct projects that are entertaining to wide audiences, but also educate them maybe on something that I've experienced that they have not experienced in their life. And I think that's would be my dream, right? If I could make 1 or 2 of those projects a year, that's like all I need, which is a lot, but that's what I would need. You know, I would be so happy with that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, perfectly. In fact, that's the secret too, because both those things are interesting to me, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict from a human level. Also, you know, some fresh angle on a World War II story. The problem is no one's really going to make that movie unless it's like executed just brilliantly. But even then, it's just a tough one. And I get it. Because at the end of the day, you have to be confident that it's gonna do well, right?
Right.
So,
and it would probably need you probably need to like instill some sort of like fresh angle into the narrative that kind of pops it into that. Again, like if this was a story, if Court 17 was a story about a woman just trying to like get through the US Open, maybe it would be a lot less interesting without the loop. Right.
And that's exactly my point too, is that I mentioned the Trojan horse theory a lot, but I truly believe in it, where if you have a topic that is really meaty and you want to address it, and you have a lot of thoughts on it, you can't really get too on the nose with it, because even marketability or producibility aside, marketability is a myth. We can talk about that another time, Michelle. But all that aside, an audience doesn't want to be preached to anyway when they're watching a movie. They want to watch a movie and then be like, oh, and it clicks. That's what it was about. And then that soaks into them more, to me, you know, rather than having this direct sort of on the nose theme being.
And that's what I kind of did it with Court 17 too, because I educated audiences on the seedy underbelly of professional tennis. Whereas most people look at tennis as a country club sport. They look at Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, but there's like tens of thousands of really talented professional athletes that are making $30,000 a year that do not have homes because they can't afford homes, and they're just traveling 11 months out of the year playing tennis at these small little tournaments. You know what I mean? And I think that was an interesting world that no one knew of, but I did, because I had so many friends from Florida that are still doing that. You know, they're still traveling all around playing these tournaments, making no money, and they're phenomenal tennis players. They're amazing. You know, if you watch them, you wouldn't know the difference between them and, you know, Rafael Nadal. You wouldn't be able to see the difference. There is a big difference when they're on the court with each other.
we've drawn so many parallels between sports and the arts before. One of our episodes last year was with Jack Barrick at Game Change, where we talked about that exact thing. And it's always comical to me. This might not make the final cut, but we'll see. It's kind of comical to me to see so many writers. It's really specifically like screenwriters too. It's an interesting phenomenon. I don't see it as much with authors. I don't see it as much with really anybody else in the arts. But there's this belief that like, oh, this is the hardest thing, and no one else has it as bad as us, and no one else has a rougher road as we do. And it's like,
screenwriters?
Not only do you, yes, it's a rough road, but not only are there other people that have a rough road, but it's even rougher physically, mentally, all that, right?
Absolutely.
So
I think I got in a Twitter fight about this like 6 years ago with somebody.
Yeah. Do it again. Spark it again tonight. Wait till I have like a 2-hour space so I can comment.
Oh, I can't wait.
Stir the pot.
No, but it's true. I think that's very valid. It's a little bit more of like an American thing, I think. A little bit of an American culture thing of like kind of, I don't want to say woe is me because I'm not like judging anyone for it, but it is a little bit like we get so enveloped in our own worlds that sometimes it's hard to have empathy for people doing something different than what we're doing. And I think sometimes we don't understand like how hard it is for other people as well. And it would actually make us feel better if we took more time to understand other people, because then it's more of a community of like, hey, we're all like, being human is really difficult. It's not easy to be human no matter who you are. Even if you're a multi-billionaire, I'm sure they have their own troubles that we don't see. We don't know. Of course. You know what I mean? Yes. And I also think there is this kind of like ethnocentrism in America as well, where like we're one of the only countries that we vacation with our own country. Everyone stays here. A lot of people don't travel very often. And I think when you don't, this is on a grander scale, obviously, but I think when you don't travel and you don't see other cultures and you don't see other people, I think you don't understand the way the rest of humanity is, right? Because we're such a small percentage of humanity statistically, but we don't understand others because we don't go there very often.
Right. You're not widening your purview at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
except to be like, Oklahoma versus Texas or something like that. I mean, I think that's the extent.
The Red River, what is the Red River Showdown, right?
Yeah, Red River Shootout. But I don't think they call it shootout anymore because it's not allowed.
I thought it was Showdown. Maybe they changed it to Showdown.
It's now just Red River Rivalry, which is too many R's. But it used to be the Red River Shootout. So
you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Not with all the damn guns going around this country.
These damn guns. No, I think that's a great answer. There is a certain insularness to it. Insularity.
Yeah.
Insularity.
Where you don't, I don't really see it amongst screenwriters from Australia that I talk to, or the UK, where they're just like, yeah, it's really difficult here.
Yeah.
So, and like, we'll deal with it.
Like my nephew, for instance, I have a nephew in the Israeli army right now, and then his older brother finished the Israeli army. If I even,
it's required, right?
It's required.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if I even like said something like, oh man, it's just like this, I can't write today. I just like, he'd be like, dude, what are you complaining about? You know what I mean? Like,
you get to write.
Yeah. It's like, what are you talking about? So in some ways, I'm also privileged to have family that's not living in this country that is experiencing something so different, because it does give me more of a global view. Whereas maybe if my parents were born in Buffalo and I was born in Buffalo, I'd have a whole different outlook on, I'm sure I would have a whole different outlook on life, right? If I never traveled around or anything, like a lot of the friends that I grew up with, you know what I mean? So again, it's like, you don't know what you don't know kind of thing. It's not like even a judgment thing, but I think that's why a lot of writers, I think it's more of like an American writer thing. I don't know that many writers, but I would assume it is a little bit more of an American writer thing, or even an American actor thing. I have actor friends who would get so like, they don't book something and they're like, oh my God. And it's like, dude, you live in like LA. I know it sucks to wait tables, but you're making like $200-$300 a night and you get to live in like one of the biggest cities in the world. In an American economy, which by the way is also like such a privilege to live in compared to like places in the world. And it's just like, again, you don't know what you don't know. So it's like, how would you know to be grateful for that kind of stuff if you don't have the empathy for what other people are going through in other places,
Well, and that trickles down to this sense of like, well, it's not working out for me, therefore it must be because of this, and this, and all these external factors, rather than, it couldn't be them, of course. right? It couldn't be they're not being proactive enough, or they're not taking up other opportunities that they should be taking, or yada yada yada. There's a lot.
You know what? And this is like super like woo woo, and you're gonna laugh at me for saying this and stuff. But one of like the lessons that I'm trying to teach myself as well is like, instead of even pointing the finger at yourself and being like, it's me that's doing something wrong, there is a certain gracefulness of like going through life, accepting what happens to you. And I'm still learning to do that. But like, I look at like the trajectory of my writing career, the trajectory of writing Court 17 and what happened to it. And all the moments where I felt like, woe is me, this shit's not going to happen. It's never going to be good for. Are we allowed to swear on this?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
It's not going to happen for me. It's not going to do all that. And now I look at where I'm at with it, and I'm so happy that everything came the way it came, that it took me this long to get here, that it all this kind of thing. And so I think it's kind of like that thing that youth is wasted on the young kind of thing. There is a lesson there of like going through life with a gracefulness of like, if this doesn't happen for you, or this isn't going for you, to have that grace of being like, it's okay. Now, obviously we're talking about like really like great problems to have. I'm not talking about like terrible things like poverty and things like that. I'm not touching that. I'm just saying like for people that we know in our circles and community out here in Texas and New York that complain about this kind of stuff, there is a little bit of like, you can have a little bit of gracefulness. Like, I didn't get this job, or this person didn't like it, but it's going to be for the best in the long run. And I think that's missing a little bit. And I think that it's very good for your mental health to be that way,
Everyone has an advantage in their own way. And I think that if everyone just acknowledges like, okay, I'm lacking here, here, and here. I don't have the economic privilege that this person has.
Right.
I don't have the social privilege that this person has, and their standing and their access. But I do have this, and I do have this unique story to tell, or I have this unique talent. And then just exploit that, right? Make that the centerpiece rather than trying to reach for all these things that you don't currently have. We get the end of podcasts are always the best part, that we really start getting to a groove and it gets philosophical.
I love philosophical.
And we should spend the next hour talking about Nepo babies. Is that possible?
Hey, catch episode 1 of my next podcast.
Net podcast.
There were a lot of M's in this episode.
M's?
You said M squared, and there was M's, like the letter M. As in Muppet,
we should be sponsored by the
Matt.
letter M.
Yeah.
Today's episode is sponsored by the letter M.
Well, that's amazing.
Bringing it all back.
Dude, the Muppets Take Moscow would be so fucking legit. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Gonzo coming in and like.
Has anyone ever done that with the Muppet movie?
No. We need Animal.
Animal would be like the.
But Animal's reckless a little bit, right? Like you have to like hone him down, but if you unleash Animal in the right situation, he can just like cause terror.
Yeah, because he could just be like the KGB single-handed. Like,
right.
Just,
Right.
just let loose.
And Miss Piggy would be like the seductress, like dressed in like an overcoat.
She'll be that, that model spy person.
Yes.
Yes.
And then Kermit's maybe like, I don't know, is Kermit back in DC, like in the situation room?
Working for the NSA.
I think Kermit should go on.
Kermit the Frog here. The National Security.
That's a really fun idea. That's a fun idea.
Kermit the Frog reporting from Moscow.
Wow, look at that.
Oh yeah, no. He should work for the U.S. News World Report as the Moscow bureau chief. Oh my God.
I like it. I'm into it. Muppets
well, because they have the Muppets Take Manhattan. So.
Yeah, it's like a step on.
Yes, that was my reference.
Well, I know. I was just
Muppets Take Moscow. Oh. But instead of trying to produce a Broadway play, they're trying to assassinate Vladimir Putin. Could you guys keep up? I mean, I can't.
He's like, I can't
keep repitching these concepts. I have 500 meetings.
We can't.
No, this was great.
Okay.
Court 17, number 2 on the blacklist.
Thank you, guys.
Should I stop the recording?
You may stop recording now.